Hi everyone, my name is Delilah, aka ASSASSINA-san. Welcome back to my channel, where today I'm going to be sharing my experience with the Elgato 4K60S Plus after using it for about 6 months. I'm going to include why I bought the product in the first place, what I like about this product, what I don't like about it, and any issues that I've come across, which there's quite a few. Let's start with why I purchased this product in the first place, and like most people would probably answer, I wanted to stream or record. In my case, I wanted to do both at the same time. However, I knew the new generation was coming, the PS5, the Xbox Series X, and I wanted to be able to play my games in 4K at 60 frames if I wanted to, and have no sacrifice on my display. Because we all know that Twitch and YouTube already scales it down to 1080p. Regardless, that's totally fine. But I didn't want my display to be sacrificed because I wanted to be able to experience the game at its full capacity and not have to sacrifice everything just because I was making a video or streaming. And the reason why I wanted to stream and record at the same time is because I wanted to be able to put the gameplay and my camera on YouTube, but have full control over like where my camera goes and how big it is, zooming in, zooming out, all that cool stuff, and not have all of the stream BS on there, like the alerts for follows or subs or raids or anything like that. I wanted that to be completely eliminated for YouTube, edit down the time with the chat so that it feels like a playthrough rather than a stream just copied and pasted into YouTube. That would be redundant. But I didn't want to have to play the game twice to have one on YouTube and one on Twitch, so I figured why not do both at the same time? There has to be a way for me to be able to stream the game, have all the cool interactive stuff like the follow alerts and things like that, and still be able to just take the gameplay and just take my camera and my mic and edit that for YouTube so that it feels like a different video. You know, streaming is very interactive. It's about getting to know people, building communities, blah, 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 blah. Whereas YouTube video that's pre-recorded, it is a lot more isolating, and I don't want people that are just there for gameplay and my commentary and my reactions to feel like they need to see all my time with chat or see all these stupid pop-ups that have nothing to do with the platform. In a nutshell, I wanted to be able to record my gameplay without all of the bullshit that comes with streaming. But I still want to be able to have the bullshit there for when I stream so that it's more interactive for the people that watch me. But when I did this with the 4K capture utility, I faced some issues, and I'm gonna get into that soon. Let's talk about how it appears. It's just a black brick. It's rectangular. It's much bigger than the HD60S, which is what I previously used. And it makes sense that it's bigger because it has a lot more power. It doesn't take up too much room. It's something that I fit right under my monitor. You can even put a little figure on top of it because it's flat. I pretty much have no issues with the appearance of the capture card, but I have issues with its functionality, and my biggest and most persistent issue is simply plugging it in to get it to work. It would just keep blinking on and off, and the capture wouldn't show up, and the only way for me to get it to work was to unplug it, wait 5 seconds, and plug it in again. And that worked pretty much all the time. There were a few times that I had to do that 2 or 3 times, but most of the time, one time will fix it, and that's it. So it's not really that big of an issue, but the fact that I have to do it every time is a bit of a problem, and this isn't exclusive to the 4K60S. This also happened using the HD60S, my old capture card. I think this is an issue with all Elgato products, but I only have proof for 2 of them. So if you guys do have Elgato products and you come across this issue too, I'd love to know in the comments. To alleviate this issue so that I'm not plugging it in and plugging it out all the time, the best thing to do is to just keep it unplugged when you're not using it, and when you're ready to use it, plug it in. And that usually fixes it, although sometimes you'll still have to plug it in again. Another issue that I faced when I first started recording and or streaming with the capture card is there would be a buzzing sound coming from the capture card. And I didn't realize this, but the first day that I played Miles Morales, which is the first day that the PlayStation 5 released, I was streaming it right away, and the people in my chat told me that my sound was clipping. And I was like, how is it clipping? Like, everything was normal from when I streamed the times before, so I knew it had to be an issue either with the capture card or with my PS5. So after doing some digging, I discovered that it was indeed the capture card, maybe in conjunction with the PS5, and it was buzzing in the background, thus clipping my mic and the game sound. This happened a few more times after that. I would say about 7 or 8 times. and I was able to detect it by looking at the sound waves in OBS to see if there was a sound even when I had the game paused and there was supposed to be no sound. And then you can very subtly hear the buzzing sound. So that's when you know you gotta fiddle with things. The fix to that was to unplug the HDMI, plug it back in, sometimes more than once, sometimes more than twice, and eventually the buzzing will go away. So just pay attention to your sound waves if you're using this. However, I had that issue when the PS5 first released, when I first started using my capture card more consistently, and I haven't had that issue in a few months, and I've been streaming pretty consistently. So maybe it was an issue with the PS5 in conjunction with the capture card, I don't know. Aside from the plugging in and plugging out of the HDMI or the power cord, I'm still able to effectively stream with the capture card. I'm even able to effectively record, but doing both at the same time is really, really difficult. I'm only able to do it effectively using a third-party software like Streamlabs OBS, which is why that's what I use now to do both recording and streaming at the same time. Before I discovered Streamlabs OBS, what I would do is use the 4K capture software to record the gameplay, and then I would capture that window for the stream. The problem when using the 4K capture utility is you cannot downscale it from 2160p to 1080p. It stays grayed out and you're unable to modify it. The only way that it will change to 1080p is if you change your console to 1080p, which means you won't be able to play in 4K, which means you won't be able to play at the game's full capacity, which defeats the purpose of the capture card. You can only downscale the streaming section because there's a streaming section of the 4K capture utility and a recording section. The streaming section can be 1080, but the recording section stays 2160p no matter what, unless you change your output on the PlayStation 5 or on the Xbox Series X to 1080p. Yet, I still tried this option with it being at 2160p, which is 4K if you don't know. But this caused my recording to glitch, both in video and in sound, which made editing at best difficult, at worst impossible. There were some videos that the entire thing was glitching, or maybe it was good for the first 15 minutes and the rest of the video glitched every 10 minutes or something like that. It got to the point where I had to scrap certain projects because the recording was so bad. Either that or I just had to download it from Twitch in order to put it on YouTube, which I really don't like to do. I tried some troubleshooting options like turning off HDR, decreasing the bitrate of my stream, checking the internet speed to make sure that wasn't impacting it, trying a different editing software, but none of it really helped. The issue still persisted, where as long as I was using the recording function on the 4K capture utility while streaming through OBS, my video recording was going to glitch, but it didn't glitch on the stream. It's not like it affected my stream as well. The stream was perfectly fine, but the recording came out shitty. A simple fix to this, and I say simple, I don't actually create these things, but I would imagine that it's simple to have the option to downscale recording just like you have the option for streaming. Streamlabs OBS does it, why can't the 4K capture utility do it? It's also worth mentioning that this issue also happened while playing Battletoads on the Xbox Series X, so it doesn't just seem to be an issue with the PS5, it's also with the Xbox Series X. I'm not sure if this is a new generation issue. I'm not sure if this would also happen on the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. Feel free to let me know in the comments. But I gave it a little test run today just to make sure that the issue was still persisting before I recorded this video and told you guys lies. And it did happen again in Assassin's Creed Valhalla on the PS5. And I just want to make it clear that this is only an issue when you're recording and streaming at the same time. If you just record using the 4K capture software, you'll be totally fine. The videos actually look really good. It's also worth noting that when you record through the 4K capture device, it separates your game audio from your mic audio. That way when you edit it, you have more autonomy over volume levels, which is really cool. If you're looking to record and stream at the same time without having to sacrifice your own display, and while still being able to use the cute little interactive perks of OBS, I highly recommend that you use Streamlabs OBS. That is the solution that me and my partner discovered when trying a lot of other options. Streamlabs OBS gives you the option to toggle which sources you want to only record, which sources you only want to stream, and which you want to do both. So for instance, for my gameplay, I would have it on record and stream. For my camera, I would have it on only stream. For my alerts, I would have it on only stream. That kind of thing. That way I was able to take the recording directly from my camera and the recording directly from the gameplay through Streamlabs OBS and edit them together for when I was going to post it on YouTube. And it actually worked out really nicely because I have so much control over my camera size, which you can't do after having it as part of the scene. I was also able to put my mic audio and my game audio on different tracks in Streamlabs OBS, and then when I edit them in Adobe Premiere Pro or some other editing software, I'm able to adjust the volumes for the recording. Streamlabs OBS was honestly the best solution because I have all the cutesy interactive stuff on my stream and none of it shows up in my recording on YouTube. None of my chatting shows up on the recording on YouTube. It's almost as if I just recorded the thing, although sometimes I slip up and do like chit chat a little bit while I'm playing the game, but I try to minimize that as much as possible. I just really like to be able to use the recording directly from my camera because the quality looks better. I'm able to modify how big or small it is in editing, which comes in handy, especially when there's a cutscene. Let's say my camera is covering the face of a character that's talking, I can just make myself a little smaller for that cutscene. Whereas that's something that you can't really modify as much when you're streaming without it being a little bit of a messy production. Long story short, the Elgato 4K60S Plus hardware is good as long as you're willing to unplug it often. The 4K capture software is not that useful unless you're just recording. I bet most people probably use a different software for recording and streaming anyway. I think most people use OBS for a reason. But if you do use that software for recording and or streaming, and maybe there's a fix for the issues that I've come across, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to know. In my experience though, you can't record and stream simultaneously without a third-party software like OBS or Streamlabs OBS. And even still, Streamlabs OBS is better than OBS in that way because of how easy it is to toggle what you could record or stream or both. So let me know in the comments if you have an Elgato 4K60S Plus. Have you experienced the same issues, different issues? Is it functioning well for you? Maybe everything I'm saying doesn't make any sense to you because you haven't had any issues and you're like, what are you talking about? Feel free to share any fixes or corrections in the comments, or simply let me know what you use to record your gameplay or what you use to stream, or both at the same time if that's something that you do. Thank you all for watching this video, and if it was helpful for you or mildly interesting, please give it a like, give me a subscription, whatever, you know, the stuff that helps us peoples on the interwebs. Thank you all and take care. Bye-bye.